Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing another tips and tricks video. This time we are focusing on eyes. So if you want to see complexion tips and tricks, I did that in a previous video, and this is going to be solely eyes, and these are my favorite tips and tricks that have helped me over my makeup career that I feel that have bettered my skill. There is so many things that I could share with you, but this is just my top, the best of the best that have truly helped me with applying my makeup that I have learned throughout the years that I wanted to share with you in this video. So if you want to see all my favorite tips and tricks on how to apply eye makeup, then just keep watching. I have you guys nice and zoomed in on my face. We're going to be doing two different looks on my eyes. I figured I have two eyes. I may as well do one natural, one dramatic, just to show you guys the different tips and tricks I do, because I do change up my makeup considerably in the techniques I use for whether I'm doing a more glam look or whether I'm doing something every day. I keep it more simple, and there's also just little things I do differently between the two. I wrote down a ton of different tips on Post-its that I'm going to be going over. This is going to be a long video, so if you haven't settled yourself in, do it now. This is your warning. We're going to be here for a while. Before we even apply makeup, this is one of the things that has really helped me with my lashes, and when I don't wear false lashes, which is most days, because I'm not applying false lashes on the daily, I'm just doing a more natural look, which you'll see. I really love Lash. I've been using this for quite a while, and I notice a difference when I stop. The only bad thing about these kind of lash products is that when you do stop using them, your lashes go back to how they were before. So you do have to have some upkeep with it. Lash is on the more pricey side, but it has been effective for me. I like to apply this either at night or in the morning. Just once a day is all you need. And I just apply it to my lash line and then quickly underneath my lower lashes. So I already did that today during my skincare routine, so I don't need to do it. This is a tested lash serum that doesn't change your eye color, which was super important to me because I didn't want to affect the color of my eyes, and I know some of them can do that on the market. So I did quite a bit of research before I decided on Lash. I highly recommend it if you guys have short lashes. You can't even see the difference in my lashes when there's no mascara, but when I do apply mascara, and I have been using Lash, my lashes look amazing. So that is one of the things that has truly helped out with my lashes, and definitely how my makeup looks when I apply it is I've taken care of my lashes prior. This one I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, but it really does help when you want to create a nice sharp edge, is to use Scotch tape. I'm sure most of us have some Scotch tape at home. All you need to do is take off a little piece, put it on the back of your hand so that you can remove some of that tackiness, and apply it so that the outer corner goes up and kind of connects where your brow would meet, is how I do as a guide for Scotch tape. There's also a couple other options I like to use. I have this Sephora collection tape, which I like. It's medical grade, so I feel more comfortable using this on other people if I happen to do their makeup. I don't care on myself, I just use Scotch tape. And then for me personally, I always do my complexion makeup before my eyes. Almost always, 95% of the time. I do complexion first, and I really like these shadow shields. So this is another product that I think is really good if you happen to do your complexion first. This is a shadow shield, and I'm actually going to do this eye as my dramatic eye. And I don't even bother removing that stickiness, I keep that there. And this is going to act as that edge, but it's also going to catch any fallout that you happen to have. So I like this when I'm doing a more dramatic makeup, and I've already done my complexion. So this is something I'd also use on brides when I used to freelance as well. But when you do your eyeshadow, you will see we'll remove it, and you'll have a nice clean crisp line, and it will also catch any fallout you have. So that's a great little thing that I like to use as well. My next tip is to prime your eyelids, especially if you are oily skin. I am dry skin, so I don't honestly need to prime on the daily. So on my everyday eye, I just took my concealer on my damp sponge, whatever I had left, and put it on my eyelid. I show that in my complexion video in case you want to see me do that step. But I'm just using the KKW concealer in 6, and that's what I did for my natural eye. However, when I'm doing dramatic makeup, I do like to use a base. This is my favorite base currently. It's the P. Louise base of the shade 2 Rumor. P. Louise suggests that you apply this and you don't set it. I used to always set my base with a powder. However, that takes away some of the pigmentation that you would have when you place your color. and it's going to dull the look slightly. It does make it easier to blend, I do find, when you set your base. However, it takes away from the pigment. So P. Louise suggests that you do not set it, and that is what I'm going to be doing today. I purchased this from the P. Louise website and I've been really enjoying it. So to apply that base to my lid, I'm going to be using a MAC 195 brush. This is a synthetic brush. And I like this because it has a little bit of an angle on it. So you can go underneath your brow and get that sharp, clean edge. And I just stamp it on. Where you hold the brush is also important. So when you're blending your lid, if you want a very light blend and application, hold it near the end. You can get more of a fluid movement. And if you hold it further down towards the ferrule, which is this silver part right here, that's called the ferrule. When you hold it close to that, it will give you more control, which you can see when I apply my base. That's something I want. I want more control. So I'm holding it closer to that ferrule. But just pay attention to when I'm doing my blending, how I hold the brush, because depending on where you hold your brush, you're gonna get more or less control. Now on to brushes, blending brushes and what you should use. That's a whole separate video on brushes, but honestly, when you're first starting out, just buy a basic set of brushes and work your way up to purchasing brushes that are more high in quality or that you don't have in that set. So that's something I've done throughout the years. I didn't start off with Smith Cosmetics brushes, which I love. I didn't have a Tom Ford until maybe a year ago, and that's the softest brush I own, and those are more pricey brushes. There are some great affordable options out there for brushes. Wet n Wild makes some fantastic brushes. Elf makes fantastic brushes for a good price. So you do not need to spend a ton of money to begin with. I suggest just buying a set and building your collection from there. That's what I did. Don't feel like you need the brushes that I'm using for this video. If you have a brush that's similar to the shape of the blending, that's what I would focus on. I wouldn't focus on the brand I'm using, just the specific shape, because every brand makes these shapes that I'm using. Putting a little bit of lip balm on because my lips are dry, and I know you guys probably don't want to see that. My dry lips. To start off with my natural eye, I'm just going to put a light transition color into the crease. And I'm using a nice big fluffy brush that looks like this. And this is a Smith 232. It's going to be the first brush where we lay down color. This I'm not doing to this eye because I have a tip and trick that's really going to help you if you're working with colors and doing dramatic makeup. I'm going to be using this Jeremy Scott and MAC palette. Looks super cool, doesn't it? I love the packaging on this. I just checked on MAC Canada and they actually have this discounted. They're not going to be carrying it anymore, but I just wanted to use this 4 colors and it's on a discount and I love this palette. So I want to use it just to mention it to you guys because now would be the time to pick it up. I really, really like this palette. And it's a collector's piece and you guys know I like MAC. And if you didn't, now you do. Love MAC. So here are all the colors. This is the Lo-Fi 29 eyeshadow palette. I'm going to take this color, the lightest color right here, and I'm using a fluffy brush just to apply this all over my lid because it's not going to be a dense application of color. So that's why I'm using something big and fluffy like this. If you use something like this is a typical eyeshadow brush. This one's from Zoeva. I love their sets. If you're starting out in makeup, I'd get a Zoeva set personally. And this packs on color. We don't want to pack on color. We just want to lightly sweep this up to the brow bone. And this is just going to be an all over color for us on our natural eye. And this is what I do on a daily basis. Next, I'm taking this color mixed with a little bit of this as my transition shade in the crease. On an everyday, I tend to like to just use my bronzer in the crease. It ties the whole look together because you're using that same color in your socket. And I just think it looks really nice for natural everyday makeup. So that's a tip if you just want to use your bronzer in the crease. I'm just using very light pressure. I'm holding it about midway. And light circular motions, windshield wiper motions, just to blend out that color. And when you bring your brush a little bit higher, it's going to blend out those edges. A great way to utilize your blending brushes in your collection is to pick up something like this. It's called the Color Switch by Veromona. A bunch of companies make these now, and you could honestly just go to the dollar store and get a hair donut, because that's the texture of this. So if you want to save some money, just go to the dollar store, pick up a hair donut. It's going to do the exact same thing. If you want to use the same brushes in between makeup application, just swirl it in your color switch. It's going to take off that color on the bristles, and you're going to be able to use it for another color. It's a great way if you don't have a lot of brushes, or if you have some favorite brushes like me, you can keep using them by just cleaning them off in between color changes. If you make a mistake or want to soften the color you put in your crease slightly, translucent powder, another best friend of yours. So you use this to set your face, which you would have seen in my complexion video, and you can take a little bit of this on your brush. I find adding a powder that's translucent to your brush without depositing more color helps with the blend and can erase mistakes, but this also helps with the blend. If you just want to soften things up slightly, use your translucent powder and just apply it to your brush. Just go around the edges, softens the blend, softens the color. Now onto our dramatic eye. I'm going to be utilizing color, and I do things slightly differently. This is a tip I learned that has really helped me out while maintaining my pigmentation for colors, is to start in the crease with your dark color. Rather than starting with your big fluffy brush and your lightest color, put the dark first and then blend it out with the light color. And that helps maintain that pigment right in the crease working with colors. This is one of my favorite tips, and definitely something that I would try if you've never done that before, because I know we're often taught to do our transition first, but when working with colors, this really helps maintain the pigment. Taking a more densely packed brush, this is a Smith 247, and we're gonna dip into our red shade. Reds can be tricky because depending on what you're using, they can stain your eyelids, so I just be careful. I know a lot of people are allergic to red dye, and a lot of times on me, reds turn pink, and I think it's quite common with a lot of people. We're going to place this in the lower crease. We're gonna stamp it on to just keep that pigment. I personally don't like to bring colors too far in because I feel like it weighs heavy on my eye, makes it darker. So I like to stop about there. I don't bring anything in, it's just a personal preference of mine. And if you want to make your eyes look a little bit bigger, bring up your color like this instead of circling it down like I did. By bringing it up, it will enlarge that space in your eye area. We haven't blended this out yet, so this is going to look crazy, but I just thought of another tip. If you are using a palette you've never used before and some of your favorite brushes that have white hair like this, it could potentially stain your brushes. You want to either A, not use that brush, which I would recommend, or B, clean your brush right after use of it because you don't want your bristles to stain, or at least I don't. I try to keep them as white as possible. So that's just the tip. Sometimes with very pigmented eyeshadows, it can stain those brush hairs, so you want to be careful if you're using one of your favorite brushes with color. I wouldn't suggest it unless you know your palette and that color, that it's not going to do that to your bristles. Taking that orange shade in the palette and a MAC 217 brush, which is very similar to that Smith brush we just used, but it is clean. We're now going to start to blend out that harsh edge and make it look softer. Another tip I like to use to help me blend out my crease color and just look at my whole lid space and see how it's going is to take your compact. This is just a limited edition MAC one I have from one of my favorite collections, which was the Venomous Villain. Take whatever mirror you have and sit it just down like this, and you can see into your crease. If you just look down into your compact, it makes it easy to see what you need to do, where you need to blend, how everything's looking on the lid and the crease. Just gives you that perfect angle. Now to clean up the lid space, this has been something that has truly helped me, and I only recently started doing it the past year probably, because I don't often do cut creases, but this honestly helps so much, is to take either your base or your concealer and use that to clean up that lid space, and you'll see me do it here. I'm just going to take my P. Louise base and a MAC 242, which is another synthetic brush. It's considerably smaller than that 195 we were using before, but I need that precision for my lid space. When you're gonna be doing more detailed work, you tend to go down in the brush size. You don't wanna use something too big, else you could mess up. So I'm just going to take some of that base and clean up my lid space, as you'll see. I'm just going to do a half cut crease today, so I'm not bringing it all the way. But you want to feather out the edge so it's not too harsh. Also, the eyeshadow you put on top of that is going to look harsh, so you want to kind of blend that out. Once I have the basic shape that's in my crease, I actually like to take a little bit more product and go slightly higher than my natural crease. So then when my eyes go down like this, I'm not going to have any worry about transfer. Plus, adding it slightly higher than your natural crease is gonna help make your lid space appear larger, which I really like, because I don't have too much lid space to work with. I have slightly hooded eyes, more so as I'm aging. My lid space is getting smaller and smaller. So it's something I've had to just kind of work with over the years, and this really does help open up my eyes. I have it easy because I'm only doing one eye, and I know matching your eye can be a little bit tricky, but honestly, don't give yourself too hard of a time. Just practicing, looking back. I find sitting back, looking at your eyes in different angles, different mirrors, you know, just trying to look where it is compared to the distance between your eyes on each side is going to help you out. Take your time. It will come with time. Just practice. I know getting things even can be really tricky at the start, but honestly, you just kind of gotta take your time. And even if it's not perfectly the same, it doesn't matter. It's makeup, it's fun. So don't give yourself a hard time about it. I just try and get things as even as possible, and that's all you can do. Don't be so hard on yourself. It's makeup. That should be the #1 tip. It's just makeup. Have fun. This isn't a tip. This is just a product that I honestly feel is so helpful if you are doing glitter. It's literally the best thing you can use for glitter that I've ever tried. And it is Lit Cosmetics. I've purchased all my Lit Cosmetics myself. Lit has no idea who I am. I just truly love their product. They're Canadian made, so I love them even more because I'm Canadian. But the Clearly Liquid glitter base plus their glitters, and you can get any of these in size 3, and I would absolutely love it. That's my favorite. I have a video on my Lit glitters if you want to see that, but this is a new one I picked up that I really wanted to use, and I had someone ask me how I use my Lit glitters. And it's honestly super easy once you figure out the amount of glitter base you need on your brush to dip into the glitter. Once you play around with the ratio, you're set and you'll be good to go. It will literally not budge. You'll get minimal to 0 fallout. It's the safest way to wear glitter, in my opinion, is the Lit Cosmetics ones. To apply glitter, my favorite brush is a MAC 242, which we used to clean up the eye just now. I found a dupe to this brush because I don't tend to like using this in my glitter glue. I like to use something like this, which is by Wet n Wild. It looks virtually the same, performs the same, it's cheaper. I don't have to worry about getting glitter glue on it. It does come clean. I don't know what it is. I like a cheaper brush when working with glitter. Cheaper brushes when working with pigments typically. I just don't want to ruin my nice things with things that could potentially harm the bristles. I play the safe side. Let's just say that. So I pour a little bit of the glitter glue in the cap. I dip my brush in. So I don't have it dripping. I will brush it off. I just want enough so that it's evenly coating the bristles, not dripping with adhesive. It's super simple, you guys. And then here is the glitter I'm using in Rainbow Ride. Then all I do is take my brush, dip it into that glitter, flip it, and then you can see it starting to kind of meld together. That's when you know it's good, when it starts sticking together and it looks fairly flat. So nothing's coming off that brush, it's stuck on there, it's not going anywhere. You're gonna wanna take it, just pat it onto your eye. You don't wanna swipe glitter because then it can get everywhere, just pat it on. So I'm not gonna make it opaque, I just have a very thin layer of that glitter. As you can see where the glitter ends right there, it's a little bit harsh, and I saved that area so that we can put in a little bit of a deeper color just to deepen up that look, and then just slightly blend that out. So I'm just going to start with that red in the palette, and I just have a little e.l.f. pencil brush packed with pigment, and we might go deeper than this. I'm just starting this color for an easy transition. That already looks so much better. I actually really like that. I'm gonna keep it simple like that. Looks good to me. We will be back to the natural eye soon. That just takes no time at all. So we're going to work on eyeliner. I have a couple tips for each different eye. I find applying eyeliner is always harder when you have glitter, but it can still work. My favorite type of eyeliner to use, I find them super easy, are pen liners. This one happens to be by IT Cosmetics, and it's their superhero liner. It's newer and I've been really enjoying it. Do the same technique by looking down in my mirror. And two techniques for eyeliner that have personally helped me is don't tug at your eye. I know some people say it helps them, but I had a subscriber tell me when I first started out on my videos, because I was doing that and doing my eyeliner, they said to not do that because it can cause premature wrinkles. And I know it's just 1 second you're doing that, but if you're doing that every day, tugging at your eye, it's going to be harmful for that delicate skin. And if you can teach yourself not to do that, it honestly will help you in the long run. So I spent time not tugging at my eye and then just teaching myself to do liner without pulling my eye. So that's a tip. I know it can be hard to do. It was hard for me to unlearn to do that. But if you can start out doing eyeliner without having to tug at your eye, I recommend doing that. It's going to be better for your eyes in the long run if you can just teach yourself not to do that. And another tip for eyeliner that really helped me for doing my eyeliner, especially in the inner corner, is to aim slightly lower than what you anticipate the line to be. And when I say slightly, I mean very, very minimal. So when you think it's going to be this angle, small. Just a small little dip down, and you're gonna be able to get closer to that inner corner. And every time I tell myself to just go slightly down, it helps me so much with my eyeliner on my inner corner. I can't even tell you how much that has helped me. Telling myself to do that, to make it nice and small and right against that line. The shadow shield is intended to help you with your eyeliner. You can just go and it will create that sharp line for you. I honestly find it easier to do eyeliner without it. So at this point, I am going to remove my shadow shield gently. I can't talk while doing this. Now moving on to our natural eye for eyeliner. I just like to take a black eyeshadow. I'm using Makeup Geek's Corrupt because it's the blackest black I have. And I'm just taking a really thin angled brush. This is a Zoeva 317 wing liner. And when I'm just wearing mascara, I just like to take a little bit right along my lash line. And I mentioned this in another video, that this helps make the lashes look bigger. And I don't go all the way in because I don't have lashes that go in there. I just kind of stop where my lashes stop. A little bit of fallout and just taking a big brush and dusting it away. This doesn't look like it does much, but when I put my mascara on, it really does help make a difference. Just creating that kind of shadow and making the base of my lashes look thicker than they are. So that's what I like to do for that. And I also like to curl my lashes because I don't naturally have nice curly lashes. So this really helps. This helps when you're just doing natural makeup and it makes your eyes just open more. It also helps when you're applying lashes to your more dramatic makeup like this when you curl them, because it's going to help curl your lashes into your false lashes and make it look more natural, because you don't want any of your own lashes sticking out straight, because then it's quite apparent that you're wearing false lashes. For just mascara days, I believe in lash primers. My favorite is the L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise Base. But if you've been with me for a while, you knew that I started off with the Dior Lash Maximizer, which is really great if you're not using a lash growth serum like Revitalash, because it does have some lash conditioning properties into it. Yes, it's Dior. Yes, it's more expensive, but if you're not going to invest in Revitalash or something like that, then that might be an option that you want to look into for a lash primer. So I'm just going to apply a coat of this to my lashes. And this really helps thicken up my lashes. And then before it dries, I'm going to go in with a mascara. My favorite one right now is the NARS Climax mascara. And I personally like mascaras with a natural bristle one like this. I'm just going to apply a coat to my lashes. Some people say if you do your lower lashes first, then your upper, you won't get that transfer. I just don't do lowers until the very end of my makeup when my mascara is already dry. And if you get any mascara on your lid, just wait for it to dry. You can easily flick it off with a spoolie. And I also like to use spoolies to just comb through if I have any clumps, separate my lashes. For this eye, I'm just going to use a light coat because we will be applying falsies. So as long as they're lightly coated, then they'll blend in. I like to do this before I apply false lashes. I know some people do this after to blend them in. However, you get more use out of your lashes if you don't apply mascara to them, so I suggest not putting mascara on your false lashes. So I have an old pair of Lily lashes, which I'm going to be throwing out because they are very old and need to be tossed. I wanted to show you a new pair of my favorite lashes, which are the Lily lashes in Miami, compared to how much I trim off a lash. So you do want to measure a lash to your eye, and I do have a more in-depth lash application tutorial for you guys, so I'm not going to go into detail here because I have already done that video. But I just wanted to show you the amount that I cut off. I have my old pair stacked on the Miami. You can see where I cut off. I'll put a mark in editing so you can see how much I cut off. But I do cut off quite a bit just to get it to fit my eyes. So these do come long, so there is a lot of lash. If you have larger eyes, these will fit you more than likely. I like to cut off from the end. You don't want to cut off that taper from the inner corner. Always cut from the end of your lash when you are cutting a lash. My favorite lash glue currently is the Sephora Collection brush tip. This is latex free. And I love this because not only do you have the brush tip, but you also have that squeezy tube, which comes in duo, which I love. So I love that you have both ways you can apply it. You can dump a lot onto a little mixing tray if you're doing individuals, or just use the brush tip to do a strip lash. So I love the packaging of this. It's a great glue. It lasts all day on my eyes, doesn't irritate my eyes because I am quite sensitive to lash glue. Just been really, really enjoying this. So highly recommend this one. So I'm just putting a very thin layer of glue on my lash. As I said, I already have a lash video for you guys, so I'm just going to motor through this. That is the amount of glue we have on your lash. Number one tip for lash glue, even if it says it's a fast drying, you still want to wait for that glue to dry. And if you have trouble applying lashes to your eyes, I do not like to use anything to apply them. I can just pop them on like this. I've been doing it for years. It's easy for me. If you are struggling, you can invest in a little lash applicator tool like this. This does help some people to put the eyelash onto their eyes if they have trouble with their fingers. I know a lot of people also use tweezers Those have a very sharp end, so I wouldn't recommend them. I would recommend, if you're using a tool, to use a lash applicator tool. This one is from MAC, but there are other companies that make them. I like to bend my lashes. These ones have already been pre-cut and formed to my eyes, so these will just pop on my eyes. But if you're starting off with a brand new pair, you're going to want to bend it. This is going to make it go on your eye easier. Even if it looks like a harsh bend, it's gonna stick nicer to your eye. Taking my compact, looking down, I go middle, outer corner, inner corner. I promise you guys, with practice, it will get easier. And don't use too much glue or close your eye. You don't want to shut your eyes and your eyes glue together. Once you wait for your eyelash glue to dry, if you see any white spots, you can go in and just clean that up. Go over your liner if you need to. This is a very particular personal thing that may not help everyone, but for me specifically, I've had issue with highlighting the inner corner of my eye because how my eye is shaped, it's just accentuates a certain part of it that I don't want it to highlight, but I like the look of how an inner corner highlight brightens up the eye. So for me, I found this brush. It's a MAC 228, and it's just been my favorite little brush for the inner corner. And I know this isn't going to be a necessity to everyone. This is very much what has helped me was finding this brush. So I'm going to take my Dose of Colors Lemon Drop pigment. I'm going to take the cream first. I love this color for inner corner. I'm going to do this on the natural eye. So I'm just going to stamp the cream first, then grabbing a little bit of the pigment. This is very pigmented. I'm just going to stamp it there. It's just the perfect size to give me enough highlight. I don't have to move around. It's just the right shape and size for me. So this is very personal, but I do think a really tiny detail brush like this is sometimes often overlooked. You can use them to highlight your brow bone, which I'm not going to do today. Maybe on this side, because we're going dramatic. We'll highlight this side. Why not do a little bit in here too? I'm not going to even do the base. This is also a tip you've probably heard before, but if you spray your brush with a little bit of Fix Plus, setting spray, whatever you're using, it's going to intensify whatever pigment you are using, your lid shade, any eyeshadow. Wetting your brush will intensify it. Bam. So as you can see, my eyeshadow looks very top heavy, so I'm just going to go ahead and use the colors I used in the crease to smoke out underneath my eye. Apply a little bit of mascara to my lower lashes, and that's going to be it. I have one more tip for today, and that is for lining our waterline, which is right down here. And when you put a pencil up here in that waterline, it's called tight lining. I know some people call it their tight line. It's actually, the technique is called tight lining, and it is your waterline. There's just an upper and lower. If you can see your upper waterline, you can apply a black and just go in there and tight line. That's gonna make it less noticeable. I am using the Mark waterproof eyeliner. They're Dusk Till Dawn. I really like these. And then for a lower waterline, if you use a brown, it's a little softer. If you use a black, obviously it's a little deeper. The darker you go, the more closed off your eye is going to go. If you use a cream, it's going to open your eye and look lighter. I like to use a cream as opposed to a white because it's a little bit softer, but if you do use a white, it's gonna even make that more apparent, that dull-eyed effect. I'm just going to use that black. Depending on the consistency of your pencil, you can warm it up on your hand. This one is quite creamy. I don't need to do that, but if it's a stiffer formula, by just rolling it on your hand, it's going to, obviously you need clean hands. Make sure you have clean hands, but it's going to warm up that product. I like to take a brush and just place it there. That way I'm not pulling on my skin or disturbing my concealer, and then run it in my waterline. Then taking the Rimmel Scandaleyes Waterproof Kohl Eyeliner, I just like to warm this one up. It's a beige tone, and I'm just going to put this in this waterline. Sometimes I don't need to even put a brush on. That's going to complete my tips and tricks video for eyes. These are all my favorite tips and tricks. I've learned over the years that have personally helped me. There is so many more things that I have learned that I could share with you guys. This is just the tip of the iceberg, the best of the best for me that have really and truly helped me in my makeup career. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, seeing kind of side by side how I do dramatic makeup compared to how I would do natural. The little tips I do for both, I think, differ depending on the kind of look I'm doing. So I hope you found this helpful, educational, learn a thing or two from this video. If you have any favorite tips yourself, please leave them in the comment section below to help everyone else out. We are an amazing community here on this channel, and I always love seeing you guys help each other out. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.